Welcome to Gorilla Sports Off Court, a post-game live reaction show following the Nuggets on the road in their final home game stretch here against the Charlotte Hornets. This is presented by Trusted American Mortgage. Trusted American salary-based mortgage consultants want to help you get into a better interest rate and lower your monthly payments. So head to trustedamerican.com to see how they can help you save some money today.
Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody. Liv Moods here and back. It has been a little while since I have been on air. We had influenza A that took over our house, unfortunately. Just happy to get it out of my system and hopefully build some immunity before I head to the Super Bowl next week. But I had a rough week for sure. And so I'm so sorry that I was not live with you guys. And I definitely apologize for my appearance. I am still on my way to recovery here. So just be patient with me. I will hopefully look a little better in the next few days. But for now, just wanted to go live with you guys. I've missed you. I've missed talking with you. I have been watching all of the Nuggets games. I have been still tuning into all things NBA. So we have lots to talk about here. And I'm just going to keep it very straightforward. I'm pissed off. I hated that game. I have hated this road trip. I am highly disappointed in this Nuggets team. And you're probably sitting there thinking, Liv, they got the win. At the end of the day, this is the time of the season where you're shooting for the moon. It's not about getting these, wins against a Charlotte Hornets team or wins against the 76ers on the road. It's about identifying who you are and whether or not you can be a contender, not only in the Western Conference, but in the NBA as a whole. And this roster, there is too much effing talent on this roster for them to not be blowing these teams out of the water. For some perspective, the Denver Nuggets were favored by 12.5 points going into this game. Why? Well, they're out most of their valuable players. LaMelo Ball did not play. There was actually quite a few guys, their main guys, if you will, that did not play tonight. Brandon Miller, he has been out as of late and doesn't really have any intention of returning. You've got Trey Mann. I mean, there's a lot of players here. LaMelo Ball, like I mentioned. This was a great opportunity for the Nuggets to look at what they've been able to do or not do on the road and kind of get themselves back on track. I understand for the Denver Nuggets, there was no Russell Westbrook and Peyton Watson. And we know what Russell Westbrook has been able to bring to this Denver Nuggets team. He increases the pace. He increases the energy. But again, you have to have a Nuggets team. You have to have a starting five. Doesn't matter who's in it that is able to do that on their own. Let's not forget, we started the season with Russ coming off the bench. So this starting five, the starting five that we saw tonight is the starting five that we started the season with. So there really is no excuse just because there was no Russell Westbrook, just because there was no Peyton Watson. There really is zero excuse for how poorly they played in this game against an injury-riddled Charlotte Hornets team that on paper doesn't scare anybody. It's getting embarrassing at this point. It's inexcusable that this game was this close. I understand that they won. Whoop-de-doo. To be honest, I'm not super happy about the fact that they only won by 3 points. They were very close to going 1-4 on this road trip. And that, to me, I'm already not happy with 2 and 3, if we're being completely fair here, but 1 and 4 would have been absolutely, I don't know. I think it would have put me into a little bit of a, okay, time to face the music here. Time to, they've shown you who they are, believe them at this point. And I don't want to do that to this team because they are so talented. And they did have a 15-game stretch where they were hot. They were one of the hottest teams in the NBA, in my opinion. And I'm not sure what has happened from then till now. But I will tell you, my gut, my intuition, and I will tell you also, you don't have to believe me here, but my gut and my intuition are actually my superpower in my life. You can ask any of my friends and family members. I just have a strong intuition, and usually I am right. Something is off with this Nuggets team right now. Something culturally is off with this Nuggets team right now. I think we're getting less effort from Nikola Jokic. We're getting a whole lot less effort from Nikola Jokic defensively, and I didn't even think that was possible. He is not the best defender in the NBA. He actually is, some may say, kind of problematic defensively for the Denver Nuggets, but he makes such an impact offensively that I think we're able to turn a blind eye a little bit to the fact that he doesn't play defense. But right now, it's gotten worse. His defensive effort is worse. It's at an all-time low, in my opinion. And to me, there is something going on in this locker room with this culture that is creating such a drop off from that 15 game stretch to these 5 games on the road. The Nuggets have a pretty impressive record when going in back-to-back games. I believe now after this game, they're 9-1 this season off of back-to-backs. In the second game of a back-to-back, they're 9-1 this season. I don't know the explanation for that, because every game that they lose, I feel like it's a lack of effort. They're playing like they're tired, but then they show up in the second end of, the tail end of a back-to-back and they win. I don't know what is happening here. It almost feels like the lack of effort and the miscommunications are like the team versus Malone. I can't explain it, and I don't know if I have any, if there's any validity to what I'm saying here, but there is just such a large disconnect. There is such a large disconnect. I felt like earlier in the season, Malone could get on them at halftime, and then we would see significant improvement in the third quarter. Lately, the third quarters have been so irritating to me. Here's where they went wrong in the third quarter in this game. They only outscored the Hornets by 1 point, but what really irritates me is the lack of defense in the entire second half. They got outscored by 6 points in the fourth quarter to this Hornets team, and they allowed 35 points to this injury-riddled Hornets team in the third quarter. So in the fourth quarter, they got outscored. In the third quarter, they played 0 defense. And that is with them only being up by, what were they up by? 8 points at halftime, which we as Denver Nuggets fans know that's not a comfortable lead at all. That is not a comfortable lead whatsoever. Really, there's no lead for this Denver Nuggets team that ever feels comfortable, in my opinion. So when you're up by only 8, and I think I'm doing that math right. I'm trying to do it in my head, you guys. It's been a very long week. I think it was 8. They outscored them by 7 in the first and only by 1. Yes. So they were up by 8 going into halftime. That's not a comfortable lead at all, especially when you're dealing with the Denver Nuggets. You only allowed this Hornets team to score 46 points in the first half. In the third quarter, you allowed them to score 35. Okay. And then they outscored you in the fourth. I don't know what the F is going on, but it is so... the energy is just off. The aura is off. I'm just frustrated. I don't even like watching this team right now, because I'm just so aggravated that there is no defense being played, and it seems like they're just not fazed. They're just not worried about it. And in just a little bit, I'm going to talk about also the frustration of, I'm now kind of backpedaling. If you've been on this show with me before, weeks ago, I talked about how every team in the NBA is living and dying by the 3. That is the way that the game is evolving. It's very clear Coach Malone does not want to run that type of offense, but he technically doesn't have to. This is the Denver Nuggets are the best team in the paint right now. So they're finding ways to score, and they're not necessarily living and dying by the 3. But at this point in the season, when you look at every guy's stat line, if you look at box scores from this entire season, at what point in the game do you stop taking the threes that you're bricking? At what point in the game do you say, we're the best team in the league at points in the paint? Why? I've now attempted 3 wide open threes, and they've all been bricks. Why am I continuing to take that shot? It just doesn't feel like we're playing smart basketball at this point. Figure out who you are as an identity. You know you're good at points in the paint. You know the 3 is not our game this season. That's become abundantly clear, okay? I was kind of in the realm of feeling like, okay, we can get there because we have the talent. We have the Jamals. We have the MPJs. CB was finding some rhythm. Julian Strawther off the bench from the 3-point line. Aaron Gordon had some good games in there. Jokic. But it is so inconsistent that at this point, stick to what you know. This year, we don't know what it feels like to light it up from the 3. We also don't know what it feels like to defend the 3. Basically, the perimeter in basketball games that the Denver Nuggets play in, the perimeter doesn't exist. We don't shoot well from the perimeter. We don't defend the perimeter. Points in the paint is what they're good at. That's their identity. So stick to it. The wide open threes that are, some of which are air balls, are about to send me over the edge. Truly. I'm just getting to the point now where it's like, okay, there's just a lot of frustrations right now, honestly. There's a lack of Liv. They were open threes. Malone probably told them to shoot open threes. I understand that. But after like the third one that you clearly just don't, you're just not there. It's not your game tonight. It's not your game tonight. I mean, I understand. Keep taking your shot, find your shot, but we're forcing something we're not comfortable doing right now. We haven't seen enough consistency against anyone, really, against any defense, really, to show that if you keep taking your shot, eventually you'll get hot. We haven't seen that. So why are we continuing to force this Nuggets team to play a game of basketball that they are very clearly not comfortable playing? I'm uncomfortable watching them try to play the game that they're trying to force right now. I hate it. I don't know. Again, when you look at this season, as a whole, by the way, the Lakers right now are up on the Knicks. They're just behind the Nuggets in the Western Conference. So these games do matter. You know, these games do matter. It may not seem like they do, but they absolutely do. And I understand it's a long season, but the Western Conference is tough. We've got some really tough competition coming up. We've got to face the Memphis Grizzlies with Ja Morant. And right now, they might put 180 points on our head if we don't play some defense, and fast. I understand that the Nuggets have had a tough schedule. That is also something that I'm very well aware of. They've had a lot of back-to-backs. They've had a lot of rest disadvantages against their opponents. But I don't care. I don't care. Like, it is what it is at the end of the day. And play through the damn whistle. I am so sick and tired of seeing this team remove themselves mentally from the game to bitch and complain to the refs or look for a foul call. Meanwhile, the other team is still playing basketball, and we're bebopping our way back over there after having a conversation with the ref. You can have that tea party conversation when the whistle blows. Play through the whistle. It's not going to do you any good to sit there and try to get the call that you want called. They're not going to change their mind. The basketball game is still going. There's just this lack of effort that is so aggravating. And it's very clear. It's very clear when you look at even just how this game looked. They outscored the Hornets in both the first quarter and the second quarter. They outscored them in the third quarter. But the difference in the points that they allowed in the third quarter compared to the first half as a whole, 46 allowed in the first half and 35 in just the third quarter alone. That's called complacency. That's called we're up at halftime. This team is riddled with injuries. We're not really worried. Why as fans, are we sitting here more worried than they are about the game that they're playing? There's just a lot going on right now. And again, the only thing that I can chalk it up to in this moment is this is a culture problem. This is a culture issue. There is something. How did we go from that 15-game stretch to this? It looks like a completely different basketball team. There is something going on here. This comment says, are you finally ready to have some serious MPJ trade discussions? So can I just be transparent about why I wasn't willing to have those right away? Do I think that MPJ is doing exactly what he needs to do and he is playing his best basketball right now? No. Do I think that there's a world where trading MPJ could make this Nuggets team better? Yes. But do I think that one of the reasons that we got here in the first place is not MPJ, but it's Jamal Murray? Yes. And I'm not just saying it's Jamal Murray. Hear me out. Not only is it Jamal Murray and the inconsistencies that he showed earlier in the season, but it was Coach Malone's patience with those inconsistencies and the fact that he maybe didn't keep that same energy with the rest of the players in the starting lineup or coming off of the bench. The expectations were different. There was far too much patience given to Jamal Murray when he was just kind of playing a I don't give an F energy type of basketball. That's a huge middle finger in the face of your teammates. The young guys that are fighting for a starting spot. And here you are playing this lackluster, I don't really care, I got paid energy basketball. Meanwhile, you've got a team that's busting their balls to get wins and be competitive and be contenders. Honest to God, I think the way that this team handled Jamal Murray, I'm not even just talking about him getting paid. I'm talking about also the getting paid and then having far too much patience for him when he wasn't doing his job. Throw back to Nikola Jokic saying, in my country, when we don't do our job, we don't get paid. That was a jab, folks. He said that for a reason, okay? So I think that the way that the Nuggets handled Jamal in the first chunk of this season has now set a tone. And this Nuggets team, what we're watching is they're playing very frustrated basketball right now. Hell, I'm frustrated. I've been frustrated. This up and down, up and down, up and down. I mean, and I get it. Jamal has had some moments where he's come back. He's shown some life, and we've been really excited about that. But how many games have they played versus how many games has he shown up? How many games can you truly say that's the Jamal Murray we paid for? Not enough, I fear. And that's just the harsh truth. And I'm sorry to be the one to say it, but it is the truth. Yes, we've had some great games by him, and I have given him his flowers when he has shown up that way. And I've been very excited when he's shown up that way. But the reality is we've had more games where he didn't show up than games where he did. And Coach Malone never changed his tune in the games where he didn't show up versus when he did. And that is a huge effing problem. You kept the same tune with him when he was non-existent that you did when he had 45 points. That is something that your locker room will absolutely pick up on. And I think right now what we're seeing is this Nuggets team just being fed up and frustrated. And I fear that most of that frustration started with Jamal and the way that Jamal was treated and the way that Jamal wasn't showing up for this group. Now they're getting tired. And now when Jamal wants to show up, the rest of them are like, go ahead, dude. We've been waiting for this from you for 2 months now. Welcome. You know? So, I mean, I remember being an athlete. I think we've all been athletes before where you had that one captain or that one player that loved to tell you what you needed to fix, but they weren't leading by example. It's aggravating. It is. You'll lose a locker room very fast with stuff like that. And then if you've got the coach backing that guy, that's 10 times worse. So right now, it feels like there is frustration. And I can imagine, I'm going to give a little bit of benefit of the doubt here and say, I can imagine these trade rumors are difficult for MPJ because they're only swirling his head right now. And he knows he is the last tradable piece for this Denver Nuggets team. And he also knows the Nuggets and the front office knows there have to be changes that are made and they have to be made quickly because what we're seeing with this Nuggets team is inexcusable. This road stretch, this road trip has been unacceptable. I mean, unacceptable. And against good teams, MPJ goes MIA. And maybe it's because he's got a lot. He's feeling the weight of the trade rumors. And let's be real. MPJ hasn't always been a super consistent player. I know that, and you know that. The reason we're watching it with a little bit more of a microscopic lens here is because we do know that we need to make trades, and we do know that he's probably the guy that's got to go in order for us to get this team where it needs to be. The other sad reality of it is, in years past, when MPJ's threes aren't falling and he's not showing up, you've had Jamal, you've had Jokic, you've had AG. But when the entire starting lineup, outside of one, is showing inconsistencies, that's tough. Now let's get to that outside of one conversation. And here I go getting on my little soapbox here. We follow each other on social media. He and I have had conversations. I have nothing but respect for him because I know how hard this job can be. But Kendrick Perkins, are we watching the same Christian Braun or am I crazy? Am I tripping? I want to encourage Nuggets Nation of this one thing. This is not me calling Kendrick Perkins stupid, by the way, so please don't run with this. But the same way you can't argue with stupid, you also can't argue with people that are very clearly and making it very obvious when they open their mouths that they are not watching this Nuggets team play. Saying that CB is not doing what the Nuggets needed him to do is proof right there That's a strike. Put it on the board. Let's put it on the chalkboard. That's a strike because it is very clear you are not watching this Nuggets team play. But you're talking about them. Don't talk about something you're unfamiliar with. That's my only thing here because I am not sure we are watching the same Nuggets team if you don't think that CB is doing what the Denver Nuggets need him to do. I'm actually about getting ready. I'm really getting close to saying he's in the running for most improved player of the year. And he actually, right now, is seeming to be the only Denver Nugget that gives a shit. I mean, that is really tough to say out loud. That's really tough to say out loud. There's effort there, okay? He is not perfect defensively. Offensively, I love what he's doing. He is dominating in the paint for this Denver Nuggets team, and they're the best team in the paint. And so much of that has to do with what CB is doing for them right now. He plays with energy. He plays with effort all the time. Defensively, he's not perfect. I understand. But he is doing a lot for this Denver Nuggets team. So I have to just put that out there. Yeah, I don't understand. Maybe he's referring to the fact that when we lost KCP, we lost 3 and D, and we know threes are not CB's strong suit, and he has struggled defensively. So if you want to make the claim that he's not the KCP replacement, that's fine. In so many ways, he's also better than KCP. So, you know, to me, that is just like red flag. Wave the red flag. It's very clear Perkins is not watching the Denver Nuggets, but he is talking about them like he is. Come on now, Kendrick. We don't do that now. That's crazy talk because you could have made a lot of comments about a lot of the players in the starting lineup not doing what the Nuggets need them to do. And honest to God, CB would have been the last name I would have used. Seriously. That would have been the last player that if I'm just randomly talking about, if I haven't watched the Denver Nuggets and my producers are telling me you're going to talk about them on national television tonight, cool. That would have been the last name I would have chosen to use and say that he is not doing what the Nuggets need him to do. The last. So anyway, yeah, right now I'm a whole lot more pleased offensively with what CB is doing versus what AG, MPJ, and Jamal are doing. Let's talk about those threes. Right? This team is the best team in the NBA in terms of points in the paint, and yet we are still airballing wide open threes. I get it. In so many ways, you've got to keep shooting, right? Find your shot. Keep shooting. You know, that's like on a game-to-game basis. But when there's a couple week stretch here where our threes are looking like below average, maybe we should slow down on that mentality. Truly. The best thing you could do is force other teams to play in the paint and be bad at it because you're better at it because you play such great perimeter defense. But we're also not doing that. So it's a free-for-all. You've got you beat the injury-riddled Charlotte Hornets by 3 points tonight. To be honest, I had set up my equipment in my studio here under the impression we were talking about a big fat L. So you kind of got lucky there at the end, to be honest with you, because I was thinking it was looking like you were taking an L on this one, and you were going to have a 1-4 road trip. Jeez. What's difficult about what we're seeing right now is the Nuggets went on that 15-game stretch of building good habits. I don't see the habits anymore. Jokic, he's checking out. I'm telling you right now. I made a video a couple nights ago when I was sick with the flu, and I put it on my TikTok. I looked a mess, by the way, because I was not feeling good. But I put a video up where I said, I'm telling you, I think that there's a culture issue on this team. I think Malone has lost this team. There's locker room problems. There's some beef and some drama somewhere in there. And Jokic is starting to check out. And that terrifies me to think that Nikola Jokic is starting to check out. But you can see it. I mean, my God, he just looks so like, whatever. I think the way Jamal was treated at the beginning of the season when he wasn't doing his job has set the tone for the remainder of the season. And now the rest of your team is playing frustrated basketball because there is a different standard for Jamal than there is for the rest of the Denver Nuggets. And it's on full display. It's not like it takes rocket science to figure that out. You can see it. You can see it. It's right in front of your face. So it's just, I don't know, you guys. Jokic seems off. And I think when you've got Nikola Jokic, who is so even keel, level headed, doesn't really show a ton of emotion, doesn't really get bothered to our knowledge very often. And it's like his annoyance is on full display. And that absolutely concerns me. There's a reason. In the offseason, we were hearing rumors about Nikola Jokic wanting to get Russell Westbrook on this team. He knows what Russell Westbrook brings. So, I think Nikola Jokic stepping into GM mode, which he hasn't done before, shows that he knows that changes need to be made on this team, and he's doing his best to get them there. But it seems that the changes still need to be made to this team. I mean, it's inexcusable how close this game was, you guys. Honestly. This is a great way to put it. It feels like they're playing on the edge of their seat right now. And you know what? Like, if you're going to make a change, Denver, make it now. Okay? Quit effing around. We've got 5 days. And it's been on full display for many, many weeks now that changes need to be made. Shit or get off the pot. Seriously, that's how it feels. That's how I feel. Like, either I need to mourn the loss of MPJ or I don't. And I have to tell you, folks, Lord forgive me. I'm not trying to be rude. If you have to say that before you say whatever you're going to say, then you absolutely are about to be rude. But no, I'm really not trying to be rude with this. My heart breaks a little every time Zeke Naji is on the floor. That contract, I can't even look at you guys. That's how pissed off it makes me. I can't even look at you. That contract is just the biggest WTF. What? I can't understand it. And I keep watching him going, maybe I'll see what they saw. I keep saying, maybe I'll see what they saw. Have any of us seen what they saw? I haven't seen what they've saw. You haven't seen what they've saw. Nobody's seeing what you're sawing. Okay? It's unbelievable. And I guess that's why. That's why I haven't been willing to entertain MPJ trade conversations, because I'm like, we wouldn't even need to do that if we weren't spending money on Najee, Saric. I mean, for God's sakes. It's like, I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's just so frustrating. It feels like we're in a position that was very avoidable. And here we are. And it's just like, again, Denver, hear me when I say, if you're going to make a change, do it now. Okay? Because the Nuggets are playing like they're on the edge of their seat and they're frustrated. And I'm on the edge of my couch every time they play basketball. Because I know things need to change. And I know there's a very high chance things are about to get shook up around here. Just do it already, okay? Because when you do it, there's going to have to be a period of time where we reacclimate. And that might set us back. It's all just so aggravating to me. And I'm really trying my best. I'm trying my best not to be negative Nancy over here. Although I've been talking for 30 minutes and that's all I've been is negative Nancy. And I understand. It is what it is, guys. I can't help myself. You come to this show for truth and that's it. I don't sugarcoat nothing. This was a venting sesh. I am aggravated. Come on. Come on. And I get it, right? Like Russ, he knew what his role was going to be. Second unit guy, 17-year vet. He's getting older. He hasn't been in his prime for the last few years. Fine. But again, I'm still trying to see what they saw. I'm trying to see what they saw in Saric, in Najee, and I'm not seeing what they saw. And at what point do I say, time's up? And the hard part is, okay, let's talk about this for a second. It's February 1st. The trade deadline is February 6th. It is very clear that the Denver Nuggets need to make some changes, right? I think we can all agree on that. Something's got to change. Whether you keep your starting five and you just figure out why they're so discombobulated right now, or you make a trade. The problem is, I'm not sure Nuggets Nation really trusts Calvin Booth to make any trades that actually make sense. Is the grass greener on the other side if Calvin Booth makes a trade? Is the grass greener? I'm not sure it is. I'm not sure if you guys remember, but earlier in the season, I said if this Nuggets team starts to fall apart, I'm not sure you should look at the players. I think you should take a look at coaching. And I'm not saying that Coach Malone is a bad coach. What I'm saying is there is a very clear space between coach. This is, if I could make a pyramid here, and actually I'm going to have one of our producers maybe help me make a pyramid here, okay? Here's how the Denver Nuggets look right now. Calvin Booth is in space, trying to figure out what to do before February 6th. And all of Nuggets Nation is biting their cuticles and sitting on the edge of their seat because we don't really trust Calvin Booth when it comes to pulling out his wallet and making big purchases. Okay? Just saying. So he's up here in space. Coach Malone is here. Jamal is here. The rest of the team is here. That's how it feels. That's the best way I can put it right now. Coach Malone's relationship with Jamal is causing some disgruntled and frustrated basketball players in the remainder of the Denver Nuggets because we all saw how inconsistent Jamal Murray was at the beginning of the season and how patient the coaches were with him. And I'm not sure that same patience went across the board. So that's how I feel. Booth, Malone, Jamal, Nuggets. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Somebody get this team a ladder. We've got to climb back up to Jamal and to Coach Malone and get on their same page because there's a culture issue. Mark my words. We're going to find out. We're going to find out something's wrong here. There's something in the locker room. There's frustrations. Aaron Gordon kicked a chair. When has he ever kicked a chair? Jokic said, in my country, if we don't do our job, we don't get paid. Whoa. Jokic being vocal. Russell Westbrook, last few games when he's been healthy, not really showing a ton of energy and a ton of hustle. I'm just saying. Like, MPJ just looks like lifeless out there. And I can imagine the trade rumors swirling his head are not a comfortable thing to have to deal with. I understand that. I get it. But, at the end of the day, we need, we either got to get rid of him or he's got to show up. That's where we're at right now. And I just don't know if we're going to get him to show up. At the end of the day, let me tell you this. I get this comment a lot. I do my very best to keep it real, but also keep it respectful. I absolutely know how difficult it is to coach an NBA team. Well, actually, I don't know, but I can only imagine how difficult it is to coach an NBA team. I was saying I absolutely understand because I absolutely recognize. That's what I should have said, recognize. I absolutely recognize how difficult it must be to coach an NBA team. When there's injuries, Jamal Murray out with a concussion early. MPJ missed over half of the season there for a bit, rehabbing his calf. And there's been a lot of stuff going on, okay? I get it. But tough love is also a really good thing to have. We didn't have that with Jamal. I was one of the very few media people here in Denver that had that with Jamal. So it's not because I don't respect Jamal Murray. It's not because I don't love him being a Denver Nugget, but it's because I know that in order for this Nuggets team to be successful, if you are a true Nuggets fan, at the end of the day, the only thing you should care about is the success of this team. You shouldn't really be consumed with always worrying about the individuals that are on this team. It's a whole team effort here. So there are days where, as much as I love Nikola Jokic, I can say his defensive effort in the last few games has been irritating. I don't think that's a bad thing to say. I don't think that's a disrespectful thing to say. That's on full display on my television screen. I think it's fair to say that there was a little too much patience that Coach Malone showed Jamal Murray early in the season. Yeah, absolutely. When your young guy in CB is in your starting lineup and seems to be the only person playing with full energy, what kind of a culture do you have, Malone? That the youngest guy in your starting lineup is bringing the heat and the energy every night, and the rest of your team, who you have coached with for quite some time, is not. I can see that Malone is frustrated. I could imagine what his halftime speeches look like, but he's not. When he says jump, they're saying why and not how high. That's how I feel like this culture is right now. There's a lot of pushback going on. And when you have that, you're not able to establish a winning culture because he can't even. I don't know if this Nuggets team views him as an authoritative figure right now. Do they listen when he speaks? Do they hear his frustrations and go, Coach, you got it? Or are they kind of doing their own thing right now? It just feels like we've got a lot of individuals playing their own game of basketball right now. And one of the things that made the Denver Nuggets so lethal and so dangerous and so good when they won their championship was how the synergy, the chemistry, it was like unmatched. You couldn't, it didn't compare to anything or any team out there. And I understand there is a lot of lack of effort from the players, and there's only so much that Coach Malone can do with that, right? If they're not showing up and doing their job, what is he supposed to do? But I also think when you care, you show up. And the times that I have stopped caring about something, I was pushed to that place. I was pushed to checkout mode. So that's just some food for thought here. I understand Coach Malone is frustrated by the lack of effort from this Nuggets team, but typically you don't get to that checkout lack of effort period on your own. Something happened or something is happening with this Nuggets team that is making it very difficult for them to stay clocked in. That's how it looks. And if I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I really do hope I'm wrong, but that's how it looks right now. And that's concerning. And that's concerning, you know? When you are playing in the NBA and it's such a star-driven league and everybody wants the ball in their hands and everybody wants to be that guy, right? I mean, there is an element of the game that exists that way. And you don't have that power over your players who in so many ways are probably pretty hot-headed because it is a star-driven league and they do make a lot of money. And, we know how the business side of the NBA works. And you've got a team that doesn't really seem to flinch when you're like foaming at the mouth because they're not playing defense. The times I've seen Coach Malone practically foaming at the mouth, furious and angry, just like myself as a fan watching their lack of effort and the lack of defensive hustle, he gets in their face, he screams, he yells, and then nothing changes. It was changing about a month ago when they were on their little hot streak there. He would give them their halftime speech in third quarter. We were like, all right, this is a new team. We're not seeing that anymore. Something happened. I'm telling you, that 15-game stretch was very impressive basketball by this Denver Nuggets team. They were hot. And then, boom, the drop-off. Something's going on here. It doesn't just happen like that. It doesn't just happen like that. You don't just have a drop off because it's not like these players went to sleep and woke up and they were bad at basketball. That's not what this is. This is just a lack of effort, energy, hustle, drive. They just look absolutely checked out. And I'm seeing it the most right now with Nikola Jokic, which is wildly concerning. Okay. Wildly concerning to see Nikola Jokic start to look like meh. He already has his meh moments, right? Where he has a half court, one-handed thing, and he's just like, yeah, whatever. But now it's kind of like, yeah, whatever, middle fingers up a little bit. Uh-oh. I don't like that so much. I don't like this. You know, I just don't like it. I don't like it one bit. And to be honest, you know what I think it is? I think it's not even favoritism, but it's like there's a little too much loyalty, I think, in the Nuggets organization, which is absolutely not a bad thing. I love loyalty, but it feels like we're letting the loyalty overpower the business, and that is biting us in the cheeks right now. And not these cheeks, if you get what I'm saying. I get it. There's a lot of players that we don't want to see go. But look at what happened when you let some of the players go that we didn't want to let go. Okay. We won a championship. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And I just think right now, the loyalty is outweighing the business. And so we're not thinking with our heads, we're thinking with our hearts. And that, to be honest, has really dug us some serious holes, I fear. So that's all I've got for you guys tonight. I mean, honestly, the positive right now is Christian Braun. Woo! I mean, just loving what he's doing. And now he's got a tough job. Hey, young buck, can you make that energy contagious for the rest of us? No, not his job, but absolutely love what we are seeing with CB right now. But there's a part of me that's like, okay, Nuggets, I'll be damned if you're going to waste what CB is doing right now. Honestly. He is playing his cheeks off. So I get it. That was a win. Like, I understand this whole show has felt like we lost that game. I know. You're probably like, Liv, you are so negative. What the F? They won 107-104. I know they did. But it was not a pretty sight to see at all. In fact, it was ugly. Ugly and gross. And I don't like it. So yeah, one of the comments on Twitter is like, they won. You're making it seem like they lost. Yeah, well, he must be new here because this is what we do. Sorry guys, my dad was just calling. Anyway, it did feel good to see them get a win without Russell Westbrook because we know the impact that he has had as a starter. So that is good. They're coming back home. They've got some games at home. Hopefully they can get back into a better rhythm and groove here because, you know, I haven't been super thrilled. So they did win though. So I'll stop being super, super negative. This was just an inexcusably close game. That's what I'm going to leave it at. It should not have been this close. This Nuggets team is far too good and far too talented for the game to have been this close. Okay? So I'll leave it at that. Love you guys. Thank you for your patience with me while I was battling illness and taking care of sick people around this house. I really appreciate you guys and have so much love for you. And I will tell you, we will do a post-game live show following Monday night's game. I will then be on an airplane heading to New Orleans. I'm going to try to get you guys maybe an off-court show while I'm out there in Radio Row. And Either way, though, Gorilla Sports will be keeping you posted on all things Denver Nuggets content. So even when I am gone in New Orleans, we will still have you covered on all things Denver Nuggets. So make sure you are following Gorilla Sports and not just myself, because there will be nights where it is somebody else taking over. But I will be, of course, helping out on the back end whenever I can. But yes, we will have a off-court episode on Monday during the day around 12 p.m. Mountain Time, and then a post-game live reaction show following the game on Monday night before I head out of town on Tuesday. So sending you guys my love. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with me. This is a Gorilla Sports off-court episode, a post-game live show presented by Trusted American Mortgage. You can head to trustedamerican.com to see how they can help you save some money by either lowering your interest rate, getting you a better monthly payment, all the things. Or if you're watching, you can scan this QR code here, see how they can help you save some money. But either way, thank you guys for being here, sending you all my love. It was a dub for the Nuggets. It was an ugly dub for the Nuggets, but hopefully these two back-to-back wins are getting this team back on track slowly but surely. That's what we're hoping for. So thank you guys for being here. Love you long time, and we will see you very, very soon.